Hello everyone and welcome to Prof Talks. In today's presentation, we'll have a very simple overview of the United States Food and Drug Administration's inspection and compliance methodology. So whoever are working into the pharmaceutical industry know well that USFDA is one of the major regulatory authorities in the world. And all the major pharmaceutical companies are trying to market their products into the US because US is a very big pharmaceutical market. And secondly, the regulations of USFDA are very stringent and inspections conducted by USFDA are also very typically difficult. So it is very important that we understand the methodology and the compliance aspect because they differ with the other regulatory authorities. So in today's presentation, we will see what products does the USFDA regulates, how does the USFDA regulates these products, what is the organization of the USFDA. So we'll not go into the details, but we'll have a brief overview related to the drugs and biologics part, comprehensive approach for quality with reference to the approach adopted by the USFDA, inspection methodology and the overall process flow right from the beginning of the inspection to the closure of the inspection, and the major differences in the inspection from other regulatory authorities. Before moving ahead, please ensure that you have subscribed to the channel Prof Talks and have pressed the bell icon so that you can receive the notification of the upcoming presentations. So the first part, what does the USFDA regulate? USFDA regulate the food products, the drugs, medical devices, radio emitting products, vaccines, blood and biologics, veterinary products, cosmetics, and tobacco. So, how does the USFDA regulate these products? Firstly, there are regulations defined by the USFDA which all the pharmaceutical manufacturers and biological product manufacturers have to follow. Secondly, there are guidance for industries which give an overview and a broad approach of carrying out things. These guidances are not regulations, but they have to be followed to ensure that we are in compliance with the regulations. Filing and approval process. So there's a filing and approval process. So if you want to market your product into the US, there's a regulatory filing process in which a comprehensive review is carried out of the manufacturing process and the other related aspects. And based on the approval, then only you can market your product. And there is inspection and compliance to ensure that whatever processes is there, whatever current good manufacturing practices are there, the regulations are there, whether they are followed or not. Okay, so first of all, the regulation. So there is a code of federal regulation, each one of you might be aware, which is called as CFR. It has got 50 titles in it. So the title 21 is related to food and drugs, and in that there is chapter 1 subpart C, that is subchapter C, which is drugs, in which there is part 211, which is the current good manufacturing practices for finished drug products. And if you can see into the similar part, there is chapter 1 subchapter F for biologics, in which part 600 is related to the biological products. So there are other different chapters given which are related to medical devices or foods or other products which are regulated by USFDA. So there are different guidances that are available, like the guidances for out of specification, guidance for field alert reporting. There are different guidances for process validation, etc. These guidances have to be followed to ensure compliance. Then there's filing and approval process, as we have discussed. So in chapter 1, there's subchapter D for drugs for human use. It defines some part like part 310, 312, 314, which is specifically related to the new drugs, investigational new drug application, application to market the new product. So there's an overall regulatory approach. There are different guidance for industries as well to ensure how filing is to be done, how the dockets need to be submitted, etc. And finally, there is inspection and compliance. So there's inspection of the firms, and then there is compliance and associated actions based on the acceptance of CAPA or the rejection of CAPA, which we'll see in detail in the next slides. Talking about the organization of the FDA, so there's Office of the Commissioner of Foods and Drugs, under which there are different branches. We'll not look into detail of all the branches, but a few of it, like Center for Biological Evaluation and Research, Center for Drug Evaluation and Research, Center for Device and Radiological Health, Office of Regulatory Affairs, Center for Veterinary Medicines, etc. So all the inspection activities and the enforcement activities, the field activities are taken care by the ORA, that is Office of Regulatory Affairs. So in which there is Office of Criminal Investigation. If you can see that if there are some complaints or there's some forgery or data integrity related issues, then it is carried out by the Office of Criminal Investigation. And if you have seen, the inspectors that come to visit are all often called as the investigators, so they belong to the ORA department. In that, there is Office of Import Operations, there's Office of Regulatory Operations. So these are not all, there are different other aspects as well in the ORA, but a few of, have been defined here. For similarly, for Center for Drug Evaluation and Research, there's Office of Compliance, there's Office of Pharmaceutical Quality, Office of New Drugs, etc. So there are different branches under the Food and Drugs Commissioner of Food and Drugs Office. So if you refer the US FDA website, it states that US FDA has a comprehensive approach for quality, which is not only including the inspection and compliance part, but a wide range of aspects, including the first one, the inspections. Second one, the criminal investigation. So whenever there is some issue or forgery identified, specific investigations are carried out by the criminal investigation departments. Then there is laboratory testing. So if there is some issue identified with the quality of the product, USFDA has the authority to collect the samples and test them. Then there is electronic screening to ensure that the product is of like the same barcoded material which is being imported, specifically the imported materials. Then there is remote regulatory assessment. This has been specifically come into picture at the time of COVID-19, where the inspectors cannot travel to some restricted locations. So this remote regulatory assessment methodology is still being continued. Then there is mutual recognition agreements where, for example, if one regulatory authority has been inspecting, the reports are being accepted based on the competency of the authorities. So there's a mutual agreement between different authorities of Europe and US FDA where they accept the investigations and other documentation of each other. Then there is single audit program which is specifically related to the medical devices. So one audit is being conducted which is accepted across the globe. And there is a domestic mutual reliance where different programs are being run by the US FDA with the local firms to ensure proper filing and proper approval process. Okay, so now we go into the details of the inspection part. In this presentation, we'll be focusing mainly on the inspection. So the US FDA states an inspection is a careful, critical, official on-site examination of a facility to determine its compliance with the federal law. The federal law is CFR, that is 21 CFR Part 211 and the other related parts. Although inspections are critical to the oversight, they are a snapshot in time, which is why inspections are one part of the comprehensive approach. So overall approach, whatever we have given above is the comprehensive approach, where inspection is one part of it. And they are to oversee the safety of quality and the FDA regulated products. Okay, so if we can see at the type of inspections, there are three basic type of inspections. That is application based inspection, which are called as pre-approval inspection. So whenever some firm submits a product with the regulatory authority, a pre-approval inspection is being carried out to ensure that submitted product can be manufactured at the respective manufacturing site, the dossier filing and the associated batch records are in compliance, and other related aspects are available. Then there is a surveillance inspection, which is called as a routine GMP inspection. So the firms which are routinely supplying to the US FDA, there's a periodic risk-based frequency on which the US FDA inspects the firm to ensure compliance with the regulations and the other associated aspects. And the third one is the for cause, which is a cause specific inspection. So in this case, whenever there's some market complaint or a potential recall, a stability failure or any other thing, a specific inspection can be triggered to ensure that appropriate CAPAs have been taken and CAPAs have been addressed. Okay. And based on the type of announcement, there are again two type of inspections. So there are pre-announced inspections in which the audit is pre-announced well in advance, and there are unannounced inspections. So for unannounced inspections, what generally US FDA does for an unannounced inspection is, if they want to start an inspection on Monday, usually a notification will be received on Friday by the end of the day that the inspectors will be arriving at site on Monday to start up with an inspection. And the second is like directly the inspectors arrive at the site and start with the inspection with any day. Okay. So the communication is received from the FDA office. This is one of the major difference here. So whatever communication the site head or the firm receives is from the FDA office, while in case of other regulatory authorities, it is usually from the inspectors which inspect. So the communication in this case is received from the office, which usually may include or may not include the name of the investigators that are going to come to the site. Okay, and in this email there's a prerequisite. So if even if the mail is received on Friday also, there's a long list of prerequisite that the firm need to be keep ready. And this is why in case of unannounced inspection, the concept of all time readiness have come into picture. Okay, so the firms are now focusing on all time readiness for the inspection, even if there's an unannounced inspection. So all the requirements, all the list of prerequisites are being kept on completing on a rolling basis to ensure that there is no delay in submitting the documents. We'll just have a quick overview of the inspection methodology. Okay, so when the USFDA investigator arrive at site, they hand over a form 482, which is the form for notification along with their credentials. So this is an official form of which can be the notification of the inspection and which is handed over to the site management. After that, there's an opening meeting in which the USFDA investigators brief about the inspection details, and the site presentation is provided about a specific process or a product that is under the scope of the inspection. So as we have seen in the previous slide, the list of following documents need to be kept ready all the time in case of unannounced inspections, because it is definitely asked. This is a non-exhaustive list which can include any other aspects also. So the first is updated site master file. So last inspection CAPAs for effectiveness checks, the updated organization charts, updated site layouts. So it is preferred that A3 layouts are available for the inspectors to carry on to the visit, because they like to see it during the tour, that where they are present and how the process flow goes. Then the process flow chart of the products in scope, the file dossier with any open or closed queries and the associated responses, list of major changes, list of batches supplied, list of major and critical deviations for the US market products, list of recall for the US products, list of market complaints, list of rejected batches, list of stability failures, list of field alert reports, list of reprocess rework batches, list of returned batches, list of management escalations, list of OS for the US product, list of equipment used with qualification status, list of utilities used like the water system, compressed air, HVACs with the qualification status, list of lab instruments used for testing, list of lab incidents and OTs, list of all the SOPs, list of suppliers for the raw materials, packing materials with their qualification status, list of service providers with their qualification status, list of contract testing laboratories with the qualification status, list of media fills with the status, that is whether they have been passed or failed, list of sterility test failures if applicable, list of all the US market APQRs that have been produced, list of process validation for the US products, production schedule during the inspection, analytical schedule during the inspection, and list of all the computerized systems. So this is not the overall list. There can be many other things, but this is just an overview of what is typically asked by the inspectors at the first day of an inspection. So for the inspection process, the US FDA uses a 6-system model, which includes the production system, facility and the equipment system, laboratory control system, material system, packaging and labeling system, and which is overall covered by the quality system. So US FDA is not intended to cover all the 6 systems, but they cover at least majorly 4 to 5 systems in each inspections. Okay, the quality system model described does not consider the 5 manufacturing systems as different entities, but instead integrates them into one quality system model. Okay, one of the important themes of the system based inspection compliance program is that you have the ability to assess whether each of the system is in the state of control. So the intermixing of the system under one quality system will ensure that everything that has been operational into the firm is in a state of control, which is ensured by the inspection by sampling at the type of inspection by the investigators. This is one of the most important slide which will define the process flow of the inspection right from the beginning to the closure. Okay, so when there is a US FDA inspection, there can be 2 outcomes. First, there is no observations at all, so we say that there are no observation, no non-compliance, and second, there are observations that are non-compliance have been reported by the agency. So these non-compliances are reported into form 483. We all know that form 483 is the list of observations for a particular inspection that a US FDA cites. Okay, However, if there are no observation that there is 0483, in that case, the outcome of the inspection is indicated as no action indicated, which is mentioned as NAI. So if there are zero observation, there is no action indicated by the USFDA, and in that case, an establishment inspection report, which is called as an EIR, is issued. So EIR is not just an inspection report, it is just overview of all the process right from the entry of the inspectors at the site till the end of the inspection, and once the EIR is received, it is the inspection closure and the firm can continue the supply. However, in the case if there are observations, that is form 483 has been issued, so there are two outcomes. First, that is voluntary action indicated. In this case, it is that there are no critical observation. It should be noted that USFDA does not identifies the observation into critical, major and minor, but if they note that observations can be complied and kappas can be proposed, so the outcome is voluntary action indicated. So, and in the case where there are some critical observations, in that case the inspectors notify it as official action indicated. So voluntary action indicated is VAI and official action indicated is OAI. In both the cases, the firm has to respond to the observations. Okay, so once the firm responds to the observation, and if the proposed kappas whatever are provided in the response are accepted by the USFDA and they are thorough enough, so then in that case the USFDA then follows the establishment inspection report issuance and closure of the inspection. However, in the case of official action indicated, usually if the response is not accepted and the proposed kappas are not accepted by the USFDA, then it issues the warning letter. So each one of us know that there's a system in USFDA in which they issue the warning letter to the firm, right? So once the warning letter is received, again the firm has to respond to the observations. So warning letter observations are nothing but the summarization of the form 483 only. However, the firm has to respond officially to the warning letter in a more comprehensive manner, in a more systematic manner, to ensure that there is a end-to-end assurance and kappa. Okay, so if the proposed warning letter response is accepted, then again in that case EIR is received and the inspection is closed and firm can continue the supply. But if the response to warning letter is not accepted, the kappa proposed for the warning letter response are again inefficient, then it leads to the import alert. Okay, so import alert is a situation where the firm cannot ship the products into the US international waters also, and many of the firms you might know are facing import alert, and literally this is a point of no return for the firm, so they cannot supply the products to the US market. And finally, we move to the major differences of the USFDA inspection with the other regulatory authorities. Okay, so the first is communication for any USFDA inspection, as we have seen in the previous slide, is from the USFDA office by inspection management team. However, in case of other regulatory authorities, usually the communication is done by the inspectors themselves with the site management. Okay, unannounced inspections are carried out by the USFDA. However, other organizations, other regulatory authorities usually tend to pre-plan an inspection and do it. So during the course of inspection, the USFDA still collects the hard copies of data and duplicate for supporting data as an exhibit. So other regulatory authorities usually prefer it into a pen drive, a PDF format. Now USFDA have also started collecting it into the PDF format, but traditionally hard copy data are collected and still preferred by the USFDA. They hand over the printed copy of the observation report on the end day of the inspection. So this is a very important point. The 483 report, which is handed over to the site management at the last day of the inspection, they print it and hand it over to sign it and hand it over to the site management. However, in case of other regulatory authorities, there's a closure meeting done in which they just brief the details of the observation that they have noted and issues the inspection report usually 15 to 30 days after they go to their office. Okay, so USFDA does not categorize the 483 observations as critical, major and minor. A 483 observation is simply a 483 observation. It doesn't have any categorization, while all the other authorities usually categorize the observations and critical, major, minor, other, etc. The response time frame for USFDA is 15 working days, which starts from the end day of the inspection, because signed copy of the 483 is handed over on the end day of the inspection. While for other authorities, it is usually 30 days if there are no critical observation, and the time frame for other authorities start from the receipt of the inspection report, which is usually after 30 days of the inspection. Observation response CAPA is to be provided to the compliance office in case of USFDA and not to the inspectors that have conducted the inspection. And for the other regulatory authorities, response is reviewed by the inspectors themselves. Hence, in case of USFDA response, it is to be ensured that a very comprehensive background, as well as what has happened at the time of inspection, what are the controls available, everything has to be incorporated into the response, because the response is reviewed by some other person, and the person who has given the observation, the investigator, is a different person, right? And responses to the 483 is uploaded on the compliance portal, and other supporting data is submitted as a hard copy through courier. Okay, while for other authorities, response and supporting data are shared onto the email ID of the inspectors themselves. With this, we come to the end of this presentation. Hope you have liked this presentation. Kindly subscribe to the channel Prof Talks to get more information onto the pharmaceutical quality system. Thank you.